Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. While the Karnataka elections are on, I think the focus is really on the larger picture, the road to 2024, because that is really what all this is about. The BJP's outreach to the minorities, the Congress, of course, gearing up for the big fight, the issues that are being raised in these elections in the local level, will these work at the national level also? Will Rahul Gandhi, for instance, get to raise Adani in Karnataka, and will it work at the national level? Is development going to be a big ticket issue? The BJP is also banking on Ram Mandir, which is going to, on the 1st of January, they're going to open Ram Mandir, Ram Janmabhoomi temple. Will that work? Is Ram Janmabhoomi still an issue with the people? These are the issues that we are going to be discussing on the show today. Joining me is Tehseen Poonawalla. He is, of course, a Congress sympathizer and a political commentator. Shazia Ilmi from the BJP, also a political analyst, columnist. And Dilip Cherian, he's, of course, a very old favorite at Roundtable. He's political commentator, image guru. Dilip, issues that work in the election. Let's just take the big picture. What are the issues that you think the Congress, the opposition can raise and make a click? Let's not talk about the face. There is Modi and there is nobody else. I mean, literally. So let's talk about really the issues that are going to work.
I think that you've touched on the many issues, but I think that any opposition party has to focus on issues which the large mass of people are interested in. And the large mass of people would be interested by 2024. I expect still in the levels of prices. I think that would be an issue. Energy prices will still continue to reign high. So that's going to be an issue. The third issue is I think that people in general will have expectations that the government should have given them more jobs in the public sector or in government jobs, which simply does not exist. So I think that there's one bunch of what I call the expected issues. Then there's a bunch of stuff which is to do with what the opposition has to fight about the things that the government has done. Yeah. The thing to avoid is trying to be confrontational about Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi, as Prime Minister, still has Teflon coating. It may be wearing thin, but it's there, and that's the worst thing to try and jump at.
So don't make Modi the issue, you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
Tehseen, don't make Modi the issue. We're talking about faces. I don't really want to go into whether Rahul or Arvind Kejriwal or whatever. Let's just first focus on the issues. What are the issues that will click?
The macro issues. So when I heard Dilip speak, this is exactly what I'm telling the Congress. Exactly, verbatim. Karnataka, for example, is on a platter for the Congress as of today. Tough fight, but it's there. Don't divert to other issues. So don't divert to what the governor said. Focus on the issues. And the issues of India are unemployment, economy, inflation. Unemployment, economy, inflation. Unemployment, economy, inflation. Usko aap mantra banao. Just talk on these three. And I completely agree. The Honorable Prime Minister is by far the tallest leader, but to quote him, he has a Teflon coating. Don't make it Modi versus somebody. You stick on these. This is Mr. Modi's Achilles heels. This is this government's Achilles heels. It'll hurt this government. They have no answers for this question. They don't even know. Their only obsession is we are the 5th largest economy in the world. But you have 1,65,000 suicides. You have 2,25,000 people who have given up their citizenship, and over 10 lakh people who have left the country and gone. These are high net worth individuals. Why would they leave the country if the economy is doing well? There are several issues to challenge this government on. And the mantra should be these three, nothing else. Don't look here or there. Any other peripheral issues, link it to economy, unemployment, and jobs and opportunity. One issue that you could do politically, just to add to it, is the caste census, which I completely believe is very, very important for this country's social justice. Not as a political issue, for social justice. I think that's very important, and that must be raised.
Shazia, this is, we talked about the opposition point of view. What are the issues that you think the BJP would be raising to counter these issues, and any of these issues you feel will click?
So, first things first, BJP would not be countering any issues.
Okay.
BJP has a very clear
narrative
vision.
setting agenda.
Yeah, so we don't have to fall for other people's agenda and do counterattacks. We are going to
encounter the agenda.
if it's dealing with criminals and giving them a clean, a safety, that definitely is our priority. Safety for citizens is first, not safety for criminals. Yes, we do not harbor criminals. You're correct. Moving on to the question that Priya, you've been asking, is that when it comes to now, here's what is being said is the leadership is not an issue. Let's not go there. But the fact is, whether you look at leadership as an issue, as in a government that people want with a decisive, clear leadership, that's one, that definitely advantage BJP. But if you look at all the other issues that should be talked about as per the opposition, members, whether it's inflation or the economy or unemployment. Now, the statistics are out for everybody to see. We can keep differing on them and be cantankerous about it. But the fact is that who do people believe will handle these issues better also becomes an important concern. Now, when you look at inflation per se, when you look at all other countries right now in the midst of what we're going through, the Russia-Ukraine crisis, and before that, the pandemic, I mean, Tehseen can scoff at it and say, oh, fifth largest economy, big deal. But it matters that we have been able to trump and oust UK and have been there, and we are thinking big. So the audacity of ambition for the country matters to the people. It affects with the sense of being, their belonging, that yes, we are going to be part of a system or ecosystem which is going to get better, bigger. And I think that is the aspirational quality of a voter that opposition do not want to see. Instead of running down India and Indians by saying that you're capable of more and will go out there and capture. I think there's also the imaging and the sentiment that is associated with the imaging, political messaging of PM that works very well with the people.
Okay. So, Dilip, let's talk specifics now. Should the Congress raise the Adani issue? Will it click with the masses, or is it just something that we hear in urban India?
Any story of corruption only works if there is a person who is a beneficiary of that. And you've got to be able to show benefit. I don't think that like the Bofors issue was raised in the past, the Adani issue does not have the same ring to it. That's one. The second thing, I think that the new India which Shazia referred to is actually very proud of its winners, whether it's the hundreds of unicorns who we are spewing out, or whether it's the big industrialists. There has been some offtake for the sentiment around Soot Boot Ki Sarkar. But beyond that, if you look beyond that, I don't think attacking an individual industrialist is going to get huge kudos. That's one. Second, the inability of any attack of that kind to avoid making generic, mother and apple pie kind of statements about the Prime Minister is where the trap is.
Right.
If they were to be able to say, fixated on, say, the banks, that might work. Because an ordinary man going to a bank and wanting to get a loan does not get it, that might be an issue. That can have a little bit of uplift, but only among a certain medium and small industries kind of crowd. Okay? But that crowd is large, and that crowd has been hurting post-COVID. So you have a certain sentiment there, and then a corruption charge or a corruption charge on banks in general might work.
So this is one way to handle the Adani issue, because I know you've also been arguing that it's not an issue that will click unless you you convey it in a certain way. But your leadership the Congress leadership seems very clear that they want to, Rahul Gandhi is just fixated on the Adani issue. So how should he then frame it? Okay, don't ignore the issue, but I'm sure it can be framed in a better way, and I know you have a view on that.
First of all, not in Karnataka.
Not in the local election.
Not in the Karnataka should be about Karnataka pride, Nandini, the water dispute with Goa, the border dispute with Maharashtra, which were more or less settled. Now you're seeing almost fighting between states, almost coming to war. When did this happen in the recent history? Right. These were past histories, right? We buried it. And Karnataka pride is extremely important. The language, now we are the most populous country in the world, but Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Kerala have kept their population below the total fertility rate. So then the point is that they are going to lose out seats in parliament. Whereas the other states that have not kept it are good. Those are the issues of Karnataka. Only on that, like Arjun's arrow, focus on the fish eye, nothing else. In the national issue, if you want to raise a corporate, first I agree with Dilip, don't make corporate individual, because you're making the corporate bigger. You're lowering a legacy party's legacy. But if you want to raise it with 3 or 4 issues. Can we bring in, we do want capitalism, but can it be a competitive capitalism because monopoly leads to extortion. So be very articulate in what you're saying. So you address a specific audience. So you address the other corporates and MSMEs who are feeling left out in the race. Second, link it to unemployment and joblessness. Don't link it to the Honorable Prime Minister. It does not work. Because while people know the BJP is one of the most corrupt political parties, we've seen that in Karnataka, the corruption for some reason doesn't stick on the Prime Minister. And it doesn't. And that's a reality. And as soon as you understand this reality, then you have got to change your attack. So while there is an attack on the system, it should not be on the Prime Minister. So never make your battles personal. My one more advice to the Congress is, to a larger, don't be a troll party. It's a very important advice. And the reason I'll give you is because you're Jawaharlal Nehru's party. You can agree or disagree with Jawaharlal Nehru. You may like or dislike him. The man was an intellectual giant, was a colossal giant. He could argue eloquently. The people expect that from the Congress, even the newer generation. So don't be a troll. Articulate your position, articulate very nicely and eloquently, and people have a natural affinity towards the Congress. The Congress does not realize the affinity this country has towards it. It should not lose that.
Shazia, I think more or less, keep Modi out of the narrative because, in terms of individuals, he still stands tall. But in terms of, for instance, Satpal Malik's comments recently, has that hurt the party? Because nationalism is your plank and he's raised questions on the Pulwama attack.
Well, Satpal Malik would have to elaborate on those, and I don't know how much traction they have with the masses who think of our Prime Minister in a certain way. But coming to the earlier part, the days, and I remember being a part of it, Priya, we started our careers together. It used to matter, this whole thing of Ambani, Adani attacks. And if you see this government, if you look at the welfare economics, and you see the Labharti or the beneficiaries, and they become primarily a main constituency across all religions and castes. And so that kind of stunts or blunts the attacks based on caste or religion, because the Labhartis or beneficiaries of the central government schemes are huge and they are across the spectrum.
Yeah, we saw in the UP election how.
Exactly. So, and I think another important point is that this whole thing of attacking an industrialist and linking him to the Prime Minister, that my other colleagues here also talk about, friends here talk about, it's valid because you see, where the central government goes, and I remember being a part of the Anna Hazare Andolan, speaking against the UPA 2 and the corruption.
Yes.
Almost every ministry had a scam coming out of it. So at least one thing people know, that Prime Minister, central government, none of this. Karnataka is, BJP is being called the most corrupt party. I would not agree with it, but of course we're on opposite sides. Now, moving further, one is the whole thing of who are our voters, and second is you talk about personal attacks. You see today, if you look at the opposition, we will think of Rahul Gandhi, obviously. And what is Rahul Gandhi doing? 2019 to and now 24. Well, Chaukidar Chor hai, there has had to be an unconditional apology. The same Rahul Gandhi turns around and says, no, I'm no Veer Savarkar, I mean, whatever that means. I will not apologize. But there is an apology there already for everybody to see. So that's one. And the same person, and how did that work out? How did that pan out? It's for everybody to see. Look at Aam Aadmi Party, look at Kejriwal, they're constant attacks on the Prime Minister, direct attacks. So I don't know whether it helps so much, because you have to then, Modi ji must come across to the people as somebody the others relate to, or the way they relate to Modi ji as their leader.
Okay.
So I think the point of view of beneficiaries is important here, and just throwing charges without having to substantiate them, not waiting for Supreme Court report. I think it's not been a very mature campaign.
But, to come back to where she began with the Anna movement, did the UPA make a mistake? Because the Sonia Gandhi, she has with the standards, she was taking a resignation from ministers even, before the charges were proved, whether it is Shashi Tharoor, whether it is Ashok Chavan, etc. Was that later on in retrospect, in terms of branding, was that a mistake? Because that immediately said they are corrupt. DMK, the 2G scam, now they've been given a clean chit. Was that politically a smart move, or was that, because that gave them the plank that this is a corrupt government?
I think that it's always possible to have a 2020 view on history. But at that point of time, it worked only for one reason, that the general charcha about corruption was at a high level, nothing to do with the BJP or to do with the Anna movement. The the facts were coming out, media was free and open.
RTI.
And RTI was a new weapon which people were, using very well. So I think that, jumping to conclusions as a kind of coalition leader is not a good thing, and I don't think it'll happen in the future, because also don't forget that the country has got inoculated by a lot of this. So now our threshold
Immunized.
for acceptance, yes, immunized.
Mass immunized.
That's true.
That's my worry.
Okay, we're going to take a break and come back and take a look at some of the other issues that are being raised in terms of politics, in terms of by the government and the opposition's reactions to it, but after a quick break. Hello and welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Today we are discussing the road to 2024, of course taking a look at the current elections in Karnataka, but the larger picture as to what are the issues that will click with the people, what are the issues the opposition can raise, because as Shazia just said also, and I think all of us agree, that targeting the Prime Minister is not going to really cut it. So you have to find issues that really click, which will have a wider appeal and give the opposition their own narrative. I think Tehseen, instead of taking a negative narrative against the government, say what you stand for. But before that, I want to also ask you a question on the issue of the minority question. The BJP is, I've noticed in the last few, and so have you, I'm sure, it's not that, while they're not giving tickets to Muslim candidates, but there is a reach out to the minorities. We saw them go to church on Easter. We saw them, the Prime Minister give a Padma Bhushan to a Muslim leader, to Basmanda Muslims they want to outreach. So is there a slight, is the BJP playing appeasement politics?
No, I don't think the BJP is playing appeasement politics. What I think what the Prime Minister realizes is that economy is a troubled area for him. He does know that. And you cannot have the economy growing if you don't have rule of law, one, and two, if you have unrest in society. So I think the BJP's thinking is more economical, and that will lead to political dividends, is my thinking of how I see it. Not that suddenly they've developed love for Muslims or suddenly they had developed. I think they're agnostic on that region. I think it's just more to do with political advantage, not why directly, but because of economical reasons. So that's point number one. But I want to go back on, before I come to what the Congress should do, to something with Dilip, which for the first time on this show I disagree with. I think the Congress was absolutely ill-advised, and I don't think this was Mrs. Gandhi. I think it was the other people around her, and I know it wasn't Ahmed Patel, to take these resignations.
Okay.
Ashwini Kumar was the law minister of the country. Director prosecution CBI was underneath him. The affidavit had to go to the Honorable Supreme Court. Law minister नहीं देखेगा तो कौन देखेगा? उसने कोई changes किए? You took his resignation for that. Ashok Chavan. So I think some of Shashi Tharoor,
Pawan Bansal, yeah.
Pawan Bansal, and none, and you never put your Lok Sabha MP in jail. For what? And nothing came out of it. So you put Lok Sabha MPs, allies MPs in jail for what? Because the Anna Andolan was making noise, and most of those people, today we know, are not credible. Shazia, of course, has gone to BJP and finally she's the credible, but the rest of them. So it's terrible that you listen to a bunch of people who are creating anarchy. So I think, not hindsight, I think that was very bad political thinking by those around who thought that if there was divisions in the Congress. So I don't want to go into that too much. But look at how the BJP is. Maya Kodnani, she's protected. Ajay Mishra Teni, he's protected. These are people accused of murder. Or his son's accused of running over people. They're protected. Does the BJP ever take a resignation? So you have to understand this. To the third point. The Congress and the BJP, and I've said this before on your show, imagine two restaurants at lunchtime. One restaurant's called BJP, one restaurant's called Congress. Now in the BJP, you have a buffet. Whether you like it or no, you know the star chef is Narendra Modi ji. The sous chef is Amit Shah ji, Jai Shankar ji, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Amit Shah ji. So Amit Shah ji will serve you the Ram Mandir, Jai Shankar ji will serve you G20, Nirmala Sitharaman ji will serve you the economy, and Modi ji is the star chef. You may like or dislike the dish. You know what you're getting. The Congress restaurant is only saying at lunchtime the BJP restaurant is bad. I understand. That's why I want to come to your restaurant. But who's your star chef? What is your menu? Is it a la carte? Is it buffet? Unless you don't have specific issues to tell the country, just saying BJP is bad won't work. And people, again, I'm saying, have an affinity for the Congress. So be very specific and articulate on how you will be different from their dishes, how your economy dish is better from Nirmala Sitharaman ji's dish, how your nationalism is different from from theirs, how your foreign approach will be different from Jai Shankarji's, and you will see traction. So you have to have positive impact, not just negative and saying this is a bad restaurant. I think that is a very important difference.
I think that'll be a tough one, Tehseen, to outdo a Jai Shankar.
No, it's not, because most of the things that Jai Shankarji says, and with respect to him, is rhetoric. There aren't specifics. And I think the Congress with Manish Tiwari and Shashi Tharoor has so much more solutions to offer. They can. So if you have a shadow cabinet, imagine Shashi Tharoor is your shadow external affairs minister. So Jai Shankarji, very articulate. He's speaking, Shashi Tharoor ji is speaking. You have Raghuram Rajan or Chidambaram ji as a finance minister and Nirmala Sitharaman ji. You can have that debate. The country will be excited. Media will pick it up.
Yeah.
It will pick it up. Don't be abusive about media. Don't troll media. Media will automatically pick it up. Imagine Chidambaram ji versus Nirmala Sitharaman ji. What a range of topics. So do that and give the country something.
In fact, the messaging is really where the Congress loses on.
Extremely
And I
important.
think, yeah.
And Jairam's doing well.
He's touched on a very important point. I think the Congress needs to reinvent the current politics of the day.
Yes.
And one answer is, for example, the concept of shadow cabinets.
Very good point.
It isn't rocket science to it. It's been invented in many other countries. All of them have it. Come on, you're a democracy. Go and do the same. I know that you're about to ask. No.
Yeah, but they talk about shadow cabinet, I mean, how many shadow cabinets do you want to have? Because there'll be a set of shadow cabinet from the Congress, whatever. And then the whole range of other parties, whether it's TMC or it's SP
But
and
at least
AAP.
there'll be a
So there'll
debate,
be a
Shazia.
one, two, three. I mean, that. So
It doesn't matter, but I don't think they'll
Yeah.
and also
No, I was
most
just
of those
thinking.
parties.
I was just saying it.
No,
Too many
let's
shadows.
say just one second.
In
Just say you
jest.
said Chidambaram ji as the shadow finance minister and TMC puts Amit Mitra ji. So what? People have a range of issues. They have Nirmala ji's idea of the economy. You have Chidambaram ji's, you have Amit Mitra ji. Somewhere there'll be convergence, somewhere there'll be disagreement. That's democracy. It's democracy at its best. Why not?
And debating issues
And
rather
debating
than...
And
issues
democracy
rather
is
than-
also about the simple thing of the EVM machine and trusting it, and when the results come out, primarily that's how. Prime Minister talked about secularism as.
I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah, Prime Minister is very clear about this, the secularism, and I'm part of the National Executive. So I've heard it not just once. I mean, this time the news of the Muslim outreach has gone far.
So you're confirming it now. It was so far sources based. Now we confirmed
No, it's not
it.
sources. Prime Minister's it's been there.
Yeah,
On
it's-
Pasma, there's been a whole this thing we've been talking about it, and it's been there for many years now. It's not just in this executive meeting. I've been part of so many executives, and it's always been said. So this time it became news, but the fact is that 80% of the population, they are Pasmanda voters. They are from. There is no caste system in the religion per se, but Muslims in India do practice it. So there is a caste, a Varn Pranali here amongst them. And 80% are those who are not Sheikhs, Mughals or Sayyids. And that itself is and they are the poorest, the most backward. So when you reach out to the most backward on the basis of economic status, it matters. Socio-economic backwardness. The entire premise of community-based reservations or caste-based was to address the economic backwardness. So if you look at it as actually legalistically correct also and politically correct, obviously, but we don't know what is politically correct anymore. But the fact is that at the end of the day, a beneficiary or a labharti of any government, state, center, BJP, Congress, BJD, RJD, SP, TMC, AAP, what have you, would want to say, how is my life any better? So and I think it can, so that's it. So whether it's a Hindu or a Muslim or a Gujjar or a Jat or a Swaran or a Dalit, it's got to be better than what it was before.
But maybe
that is governance.
But one second, just one second.
So it's not about the religious
I
or
love
the...
what you said. I mean, kudos to you. But can I just ask you one thing? So in Karnataka, why did you cancel the benefits for the Muslims? And then you went to Supreme Court and said, no, we are not going to do it. Why did you do it in Karnataka?
No, because
you didn't.
there is also provision for Muslims in in the economic weak sections, and that is the only.
But
this
why
is the
did
only
you take
party.
it back in Supreme Court?
You know, this is the
Why did you
hypocrisy.
take it back in Supreme Court?
There is a hypocrisy of Congress party.
No, I'm saying Congress is hypocrite, but Supreme Court
Salman
people
Khurshid, going further, why did Salman Khurshid promise reservations
Arey, Salman Khurshid and Congress is
for
out
the
of
same
power.
logic.
You cancelled
Let me
it.
finish.
Okay.
And you went to Supreme
Let
Court
me
and you
answer.
took it back and you said, we'll give it.
No, I'm answering you. So why did Salman Khurshid say that there has to be religion-based reservations for Muslims before the elections and then say it's not actually possible as per the law?
Okay,
So I'm
I
not,
give you that. No,
I don't know
I
the
give you
details of what
that.
you're
I
saying,
give
but
you
the fact is that
But you
in the
cancelled it,
economically,
and then the Supreme
but
Court
this
said
is
you
the only
put it.
party which is spoken. No, it's a very important thing. Caste-based reservations, and I think when a party like BJP, and it's the only party which has actually talked about reservations based on the economic status. It takes into account many more Muslims than even the 5% would do, because in terms
no,
of
I've
proportion.
got your point. Let me just get Dilip into a final word. Dilip, back to what he was, you were saying also, the communication of the Congress. That's also, you know, एक the message hai, but also how you convey the message. Do you find the Congress is faulting on that?
Yes, I find the Congress faulting on that, and I'm taking what Tehseen said very seriously, that you cannot be a party of trolls, but you've got to be a smart party. You've got to be a party that hijacks trends. You've got to be a party which looks at what the listening tools are telling you. I'm sometimes appalled if the listening tools which are available free on the net are used, you know which issues are getting traction. If the issue is not getting traction, change, shower, come back with a new one. You cannot do this. The point is that communications must be shorn of ego. It's got nothing to do with a leader or a boss. You got to test and then rinse and then recast.
Very well said. I think there's a good takeaways over here as to not just the issues that have to be raised, but the way they have to be raised also. If the opposition really needs to get its act together before 2024, I mean, if there is already, some people are already giving the election to the BJP, then where is the democracy in all this? Where's the fun in the elections? So we are hoping the opposition does get its act together and gives us a good fight, and there is an election that we all can report and enjoy reporting. But thank you for this conversation, and thank you for coming here. Thank you all.